back to my channel, Cooking with a Twist with Sabrina Bright. I am Sabrina Bright. It is so great to be here with you guys today. So guys, I have a real treat that we are going to be learning how to cook today. And you know what? I've shared with you previously about my menu. Here is my menu for those who have not joined me before and this is your first time. I start out with my menu. I write what I'm going to cook on my menu because it helps me and my family to keep things flowing. Instead of my family's coming to ask me, well, Mom, what's for dinner? Or my husband saying, honey, what's for dinner? I say, check the menu. It's on the menu. So guys, you've got to get yourself one of these menus because it makes life so much easier for you. So let's talk about what we are going to be cooking today. Today we are going to have lasagna with garlic bread, and we're going to make our very own garlic sauce to go on our garlic bread. We're going to have a house salad with balsamic dressing. So without any further delay, we're going to go ahead and walk on over here and get started. Okay, so here are the ingredients that you are going to need to make the perfect lasagna. You are going to need some ground meat. I like ground turkey. Some people like ground chicken, and some people like ground beef. You are going to need lasagna noodles. I always use the oven ready because it makes it a lot faster. You are going to need your different cheeses. I use 4 different types of cheeses. I use the mozzarella, I use the extra sharp cheddar cheese, I use the pepper jack cheese, and I use the Kobe jack cheese. You are going to need, of course, the Tonys. Yep, you're gonna need your Tonys. As I mentioned to you guys before, I don't do any type of cooking for dinner without my Tonys. So you're gonna need your Tonys, you're gonna need your oregano, you are going to need onion powder, you are going to need Italian seasoning, you're gonna need a little salt, you're gonna need your pepper, you are going to need some basil leaves, you are going to need an onion, bell pepper, which I love to use the multicolored bell peppers because not only does it make your food taste good, it gives it a very nice look. And that's important, that your food is presented, you know, in a very beautiful way. Also, you're going to need some fresh parsley. You are going to need some tomato sauce. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get started. Okay, so first thing I want to do is cut my onions. Guys, one thing I want to share with you is you need a good knife. You'll cut yourself a lot faster using a dull knife than you will with a sharp knife, so you definitely want to use a sharp knife. And with this particular meal, I am going to cut it in a dice style. So I'm going to start out slicing it first, my onions, and then I'm going to move into dicing it. As I mentioned to you before, different meals calls for different ways that you want to cut your fresh vegetables. And with my lasagna, I like to use diced onions and bell peppers. Even though you know it's not wrong if you use sliced, it's just that this is just how my family and I like it. How nice that's looking. It's looking really nice. It's coming along really nice, the dicing of my onions. No more tears. Notice I'm cutting mine. There's not a single teardrop falling from my eyes. And that's what you want. Okay, moving on into our bell peppers. I'm gonna cut my bell peppers the same way. Now, one thing about these sharp knives, as I mentioned to you before, you'll cut yourself a lot faster with a dull knife than a sharp one, but you still got to pay attention. Because one thing you don't want to do is cook your meal, next thing you know you have blood all over the place because you cut your hand. So we don't want that to happen. So you have to pay attention as you are cutting your vegetables, your fresh vegetables, making sure that that does not happen. And these are coming along really nicely too. So there's my red bell peppers, and I'm gonna slice my orange bell peppers, and I have some yellow and green. And as I mentioned before, it just really gives it a great presentation. It makes it look so pretty by the time your meal is done. And you know, a good presentation is always inviting. People look at your food, and if it's presented well, it makes them want to jump in the camera and get some of it. And even more than that, it makes them want to get in the kitchen and cook it. All right, so go ahead and get this one done. Go ahead and dice up the yellow. Okay. And I am going to dice my yellow bell peppers. And I try to keep mine all around the same size. I don't want any too fat or too chunky for this particular recipe. I want them all around the same size. As close as I can get it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the exact same size. But you know, you just kind of want to keep them around the same size as much as possible. See, like these little pieces here are a little big, so when I see it looking like that, I just take the knife and I just cut it down to the size that I'm trying to have. All right, so now my yellow bell pepper is done. My red bell pepper is done. My orange bell pepper is done. Now I'm gonna cut my green bell pepper. And the green bell pepper is a bell pepper that most people are familiar with. I cook with green bell peppers all the time. I throw in the colors, like I said, for presentation, but green bell pepper is what I mainly grew up on as a child. And you know, it's something how you wind up staying with what you learned as a child. So if you watch your mama cook and she used green bell peppers, chances are when you start your cooking, you're using the same thing. Or you watch your grandmother cut the green bell peppers. So it's a given. It's a go-to for the green bell pepper. That's what I go to first. It's my go-to. So if I'm out of the yellow or the orange or the red, it's okay. As long as I have these green bell peppers, I'm good to go. All right. Now I mentioned to you guys that we are going to do some fresh parsley. So here's my parsley. Cut this up. So I'm gonna need this to throw in the recipe too. There's nothing wrong with using dry bell peppers from out the container. I mean, I use that too. I just happen to have some fresh bell peppers for this, fresh parsley flakes for this particular recipe, so I prefer to use fresh. Fresh is always better, but it would taste just as tasty if you had it from the container. So I use that too. Okay, now I just want to cut as best as I can this way. So I want small pieces with my parsley also. And parsley is really good for a garnish, for you to garnish your meal when you're completely done, because it looks so pretty with the parsley sitting on top of it. But with this particular recipe, I'm not going to use it for a garnish. I'm actually going to use it inside of the recipe. Okay. All right, and there we have it. Just run my fingers here. Get everything I can get. All right, now I'm going to put this to the side, and we are ready to go over and start cooking our ground meat. So let's get ready for that. Okay, everyone, so I've already ground my ground turkey, and this is what it looked like. I strained it because I was straining out the excess grease or oils that may be in it. You don't want that in your food when you're cooking it, because you don't want that grease floating around. In the pot now, I have it with just a little bit of water, because what I'm going to do now is just take all my vegetables, and I want them to cook to get a little soft before I put in my meat. So these are the vegetables that you watch me cut. So I'm going to take these, going to put it in here. Now I'm not going to do my my parsley just yet. I am going to put my garlic in. So I pressed my garlic already using my garlic press. So now I'm going to add that into the pot as well. Now if I got a little bit of parsley in there, it's okay. I'm not trying to get all my parsley in there right now, but it is okay if I did. And I'm going to take my spoon. I'm just going to stir it. Look how pretty that look, guys. That's what I mean when I say presentation. That looks so beautiful. And it looks even better once your meal is done. So nice to have all these lovely colors and giving it all these different flavoring. All that's flavor right there that you see. That's what make your food taste good, and that's definitely what you are seeking. Stir that up some. So a lot of times while my ground turkey is straining, I will come over here and put in my fresh vegetables so they can start softening up. But it doesn't have to be too soft right now because it still have to cook with my tomato sauce inside. But I definitely like to start it just a little bit. So now I'm going to add my meat. And just stir that in. Stir it up. Move my vegetables from the bottom, kind of like to the top, just stirring it up really well. I have it on 350 degrees. And I probably do this process maybe about 2 to 3 minutes, just trying to mix everything up before I add the rest of my ingredients. Look at that. Guys, that looks amazing. It looks yummy. It's not even halfway done yet, but it still looks good. Imagine what your family would say when they see you use this process and then the finished product. Imagine what they're going to say. Only thing they can say is yummy, delicious, and let's eat. All right, now I'm going to pour in my tomato sauce. And guys, any tomato sauce will do. You can use it from the jar, you can pour it from the can, or you can actually make your own tomato sauce. Put a little bit more of this side of it. You know, it just depends on how you like it. All right, we definitely want it to be wet like this. You don't want it where you have a lot of meat and hardly any sauce. You definitely want your sauce to be in the pot, but you can see your sauce because it has to cook down a little bit. And that probably takes about 10 to 15 minutes just to cook down some for all of your seasonings to come together into one amazing, fantastic taste. So now that I stirred that and I added it in, I have a little bit of tomato sauce here in case this evaporates and I need to add some more. I have a little bit here to add. So now I'm going to start adding my dry seasonings. Here's my Tony's. Guys, I just can't do nothing without this Tony's. I have to have my Tony's. Got all my dry seasonings, my basil, my oregano. Guys, this is your flavor, and this is what makes it taste absolutely fantastic. My Italian seasoning. And I'm actually going to use just a little bit of garlic powder. Even though I used the garlic from my garlic press, I just want to make sure it's got that garlic taste. And although I use onions, I add just a little bit of onion powder just to make sure I get that great flavor that I'm looking for. Now I'm going to add a little bit of salt, which you don't have to add. But the Tony's is a mixture of sodium, but it also has pepper inside of it. So it's good to add a little bit of salt if that's what you like to have. Now I'm going to use my pepper. It's my regular pepper. And guys, some people like their tomato sauce a little tart. I like mine a little sweet. My family and I like it a little sweet. So I'm going to add just a little bit of sugar to it. Just to kind of give it not so tart taste. And now I'm going to stir it all up. That smells so good. Oh my goodness, that smells amazing. Guys, if you were making meat sauce and spaghetti, you would use the same process. The only thing is you would use spaghetti instead of the lasagna noodles. But oh my goodness, that smells amazing. You can also use diced tomatoes as you're putting it together, especially if you're doing spaghetti. It's good to have some diced tomatoes in there. But you can add diced tomatoes to your lasagna as well, which is what I'm going to add just a little bit to mine. So these are my diced tomatoes, and it's in the can. I'm just going to pull this back and add some of it. I don't want a whole bunch, but I do want to add it to it, some of it. And guys, this one also has basil, garlic, and oregano. So it's not just your regular diced tomatoes. It actually has some of your flavor. So I'll sit that there. And guys, all of this is just flavoring, which makes it taste so good. Oh my goodness, it smells amazing. Woo! I cannot wait to have some of this. So now, I'm gonna put my pot on, my top on my pot, and I'm gonna let it cook for about maybe 10 minutes. And then after that, I'll be ready to put down my lasagna noodles, put my meat sauce on top of it, and then layer with my cheese. And I'm gonna do 2 layers. And then I'll be ready to put it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. All right, so let's give this a minute. Okay guys, so while we have our meat sauce cooking in preparation of our lasagna, we're gonna go ahead and come over here and start on our garlic bread. So I've already pressed my garlic and I've already chopped my parsley. And so I melted my butter. So I'm just gonna pour my butter into this dish. I am going to add my fresh parsley, which as I mentioned before, you can use parsley out the container. There's nothing wrong with that. I've done it before. And then I'm going to take my brush and just stir it all in. So I use unsalted butter, and the reason why I use unsalted butter is because I've added salt to my meat sauce. And if you're like me, you try to be mindful of the amount of sodium that you're taking in. So now, here's my bread. I'm gonna scoop these items over some. Now I use my bread knife. I love this knife, guys. And I'm just gonna cut my bread. It was a loaf. And what I did is I cut it in half because I wanted to make sure that it fits well on my baking tray. Just cut it down the middle. Open it up just like that. And now I'm going to take my brush. Well, let me cut the other one since I'm going to do them both. Put the other one down the middle. I can put my garlic sauce on both. Since I'm going to be baking them at the same time. My oven is on 350 degrees. And then I'm probably going to let this stay in the oven for maybe about 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started with this. And guys, you don't have to be stingy with putting it on here. Put it on there nice and heavy. You definitely want to enjoy the taste. And if you only put a little bit on there, you might not get that taste that you're looking for. Look at that. Our own garlic sauce. I'm going to put it on both sides. Our own garlic sauce that we are putting on our own fresh French bread. Now I know I mentioned I'm from New Orleans. So French bread is the bread that we use for a lot of our po' boy sandwiches. Just in general. And you know what? I'm going to have to do a video on the po' boy sandwiches. Make a po' boy sandwich. It's like a sub sandwich. We call them po' boy sandwiches. But I'm going to have to do a video on that. So stay tuned for that in the future. Okay, so I want to put it on both sides. Probably should have added a little bit more butter to it, but I'm going to make work what we have already done. And I'm just going to get it prepared for the oven. That looks good. Okay. Now that I have my garlic butter ready, I'm going to move this to the side. It's already inside the bread. My oven is at 350 degrees. I'm just going to put it in for about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to slice it and it'll be ready. All right. Okay, so we already put our garlic bread into the oven. So now we're coming back over here to check on the meat sauce. Look at that. Guys, look at that. Look at all of that flavor. Look at all the bell peppers and the onions, the tomatoes that we put in it. It still have a lot of sauce, tomato sauce in it, so I'm not going to need to add any more to it because it's perfect just like this. So I'm going to turn it off, and now I am ready to put it here. So guys, I already put my oven ready lasagna noodles down for my first round. And so this one, of course, was a long one. I had to kind of cut it down some just so it can fit. But you want to cover the bottom as much as you can. So I'm going to take a spoon and I am going to start putting it on my first layer. My first layer. Just slide it down some. And guys, this would be a great meal for you to do on a Sunday if you're having company over, or just because you just feel like cooking something nice for your family. Lasagna is always a great go-to meal. It doesn't take a lot of time to do it. It tastes absolutely delicious. It's filling. A lot of perks with this meal. And if you're like me and you like Italian foods, this is definitely the way to go. So now, because I'm going to be doing 2 layers, I definitely need to have some of my sauce for my second layer. But I definitely wanted to cover up all of my lasagna noodles. All right, look at that. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. The presentation of this alone is good. And when I put my green parsley in there, you can see some of the pieces of the green parsley, the fresh parsley I put in. It just gave it such an impeccable flavor. So I took the time to grate my cheeses here So now I'm gonna take my cheeses and I'm gonna put it on this bottom layer. So here is some of the Kobe cheese. Just sprinkle it like that. And then my cheddar cheese. And notice I'm just sprinkling it. And guys, you can use whatever cheeses you desire to use. It's totally up to you. These are just the cheeses that we like. And like I mentioned before, because we're from New Orleans, we kind of like a little spicy in our food. And that's exactly why I use this cheese, which is the pepper jack cheese. We like spices. And then I shredded it all up using my hand shredder here, and these are all, I use half of each of them. So now I'm gonna put my mozzarella cheese, sprinkle that. I just love the cheeses. So now I'm gonna show you a little trick that I use. Because I use this side for the noodle, the lasagna noodle going this way, I'm gonna now put this one on this side. And then I'm gonna take out, I need 3. So 1, 2, and 1 more. And then I'm gonna go through the same process. Back over here with the meat sauce. I'm just gonna put it here just like I did for the first layer. And you can do as many layers as you like. I usually do 2 layers. I mean, 3 layers could be good too. You can do as many as 5 layers if that's what you want. Totally up to you. Whatever works for you and your family. Okay, so since this is my last layer, I'm just gonna pour it out like so. Okay. Now I'm gonna spread it as evenly as I can. Gosh, that smells so good. Ooh, my goodness, I cannot wait, guys. I cannot wait. Can't wait. Folks gonna think that they've been to a restaurant up in here. Okay, and so I'm gonna do the same thing with my layers of cheese. Spread my layers. This little piece didn't shred all that much, but that's okay. I just helped it along the way. And there's just no certain way that you have to spread your cheese. However you want to do it, in whatever order you want to do it in, there's no certain order. You just want the different layers of cheese. The different amount of cheese for your layers of cheese, I should say. Your layers of lasagna. Just like that. I'm going to take the rest of this. I'm going to make sure that I got everything covered in terms of the cheese. Put my mozzarella on top. And now I'm going to take my whole plate, guys, and just get all the rest that I can get. Now, if you want more cheese, you can always shred more cheese. And you know what? When I look at my mozzarella, I think I'm gonna go ahead and shred just a little bit more mozzarella cheese, guys. I think I just need just a tad bit more on top, this top layer. So I'm just gonna quickly shred it so that I can put some more on this top layer. All right, there we go. Don't need a whole bunch more, but I just need some more. Okay, just cut up these little pieces. I'll tear them up with my fingers. And so now, there we go. This is my top layer, so I definitely want my mozzarella cheese to be on it very, very top. All right, now, that is looking beautiful. Wow, look at that. That is looking beautiful. Okay, so now my oven is on 350 degrees because I already had my garlic bread in there. So I'm gonna take my garlic bread out because it's been about 10 minutes, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my pan of lasagna in. So we'll see what it's gonna look like at the end. Okay guys, so I took it out of the oven, and here is the finished product. I've taken the garlic bread out of the oven. Here's the finished product. I garnished it with just some parsley just for presentation. Also, remember that sauce that I had that I didn't use? I went on and made a tomato dipping sauce. So I just simply added some sugar and some fresh parsley. You want to use that as a dipping for your garlic bread. So let's go ahead. Look at how nice this looks. Guys, I'm not going to have a whole piece. I'm just going to get some out to show you what the finished product looked like through and through. And it's only because I kind of been tasting as I go along, so not really that hungry. And man, I tell you, look at that. Look at that. Look at the cheese. Look at the sauce. Let's put that here. Ooh, look at that. Wow. Wait. This is the finished product. And as I showed you before, the garlic bread, and there's the dipping sauce. Even though the dipping sauce wasn't on the menu, I wanted to do something with the rest of that tomato sauce I had sitting there, besides just tossing it out, because there's always something you can do with what's remaining. So we're going to do like we always do. Father God, I thank you for this meal, Lord. I thank you for this time with my viewers, Lord, and my friends, Lord. I thank you for this opportunity to enjoy this meal. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Let's try it out. Woo, look at the cheese. Oh my goodness, look at the cheese. And guys, I want a little bit of the pasta, the meat, and the cheese. Ooh, and a little bit of the tomatoes. Look, the tomatoes are there too. Guys, that's absolutely delicious. Your family is going to enjoy this meal. Now, before you leave, if you like this, please hit the like button and subscribe. And also, when you bake yours, tell me how yours came out. Tell me what cheeses you might have used. You may have not used the same cheeses that I use. Hit me up. Let me know. Until the next time, see ya.